Welcome to this edition of Futurartist Records Presents. Joining me today is a front range band whose music is styled after the late 60s, early 70s Southern California country rock sound. Futurartist Records presents Melmo and the Middlemen. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi. Thanks for coming in. You guys are super local, which is awesome. Love supporting that. Why don't we let everybody know who you are and what you do in the band?
Perfect. My name is Melissa Morris, and I'm the lead singer of Melmo and the Middlemen.
John Arnold. I play pedal steel, a little guitar.
Cool.
Larry Warner, and I play guitar.
Cool. We're missing a couple members today.
Yes.
We are going to bring them back in. We're going to do another show with everybody here. Who are they and what do they do?
Bill Garcia is our drummer, and Cole Reeves is our bassist.
Okay, cool. And you all sing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
How many times are you all singing at the same time in a song? Does that happen?
I mean, we do occasionally on the choruses. The guys will harmonize with me. You know, we're definitely getting better at it.
It's a process, right?
We stick to the stuff that works, and we try not to get too aggressive about it.
Right.
Always put your strong, best foot forward.
That's right.
Right.
And on vocals, our best foot forward is right here.
Right. Stay in the shadows till she brings you forward.
That's right.
Right.
Standing in the shadows.
That's right.
So, this is an interesting story that you guys have. Melissa's, you are mostly an actress. So talk a little bit about what you do as an actress, and then I'll bring the rest of it in here.
Perfect. Yes, I've been doing usually musical theater since I was very, very young. I got bit by the theater bug and just fell in love with it and went to college for musical theater.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing it for quite some time. And this is actually my uncle here. He's always
Was he a good influence?
He was such a great influence, actually. Trust me. Yes. He saved my life in a lot of different occasions.
Cool.
But he really was the one who encouraged me to do theater and go towards my passion. Yeah. And of course, he's loved music his entire life. And so that's kind of how we decided to get this band together.
Yeah. Cool. Very cool. This band came together in a really, really unique way. Who would like to tell the story of how the band actually became a band? Because this is not the normal way bands come together.
No, it's not. Because I was playing pedal steel for in a hardcore country band.
Okay.
And we would, when Melissa was about 15, she would come in and sort of start singing a couple of songs with us, and then that evolved into 5 or 6 songs, and then that evolved into almost a whole set sometimes.
Nice.
And we were kind of starting to take over the band, and there was a shuffle in the members, and that turned into more of a swing thing and had less of a rock kick to it. And so she wasn't singing with us as much, and I really still wanted to do something. And so we were talking about this format, and I was thinking, well, I know this guy from church, Larry, who would probably play guitar. And that was as far as it had gone. And then she went over to Parrots one night and was singing karaoke. And the guy who owned the place heard her sing Fool Around and fell in love and said, "Wow, you're great. You have a band?" And she said, "Yeah." And he says, so she booked us for New Year's Eve. We didn't have a band.
You didn't have a band, much less a set to play.
No.
But I believed in us that much.
We believe, though.
How quickly did everything come together once you found out that it was already a deal?
Well, Larry, I would love for you to talk about that, actually.
Well, I thought it came together real quickly. I've been in a lot of bands, and it clicked real good, right off the bat.
Yeah.
We had 4 months
Yeah.
to get 45 songs together.
That's crazy. Now the other 2 members, you had worked with them before and you knew them, and so
Larry
you just
had
kind
a
of
lot.
put them in place?
Well, we obviously needed a rhythm section.
Right.
So I was called upon to
Find one.
And fortunately had just the people in mind. Bill Garcia, who is the drummer in this band, he and I have been in 2 or 3 bands together, and blues, mostly Motown, rock, classic rock, and I knew he'd be perfect, So I invited him, and he, ended up joining the band. James Cole Reeves.
Yes.
We all call him Cole,
Cole.
but
Gotcha.
got to call him James here.
Yeah.
Right.
He's a bass player that I go back 20 or 30 years with, local, and we've done a lot of playing together in the basement and a little bit out.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
But he and I are kind of like carbon copies as far as our experiences. We grew up in Denver, our musical tastes. We know each other, you know. So I asked Cole to play bass. He did.
And that works out really well
Yeah.
then.
Oh, yeah.
The first
that's
day
great.
we all like came
Yeah.
together, it was just like such a
The first
wonderful
jam
energy.
was, yeah.
That's awesome. And that really is a unique story pretty much at every level. Bands just don't normally do that.
Yeah.
So that makes it really cool.
Well, we didn't have to go on Craigslist. Right.
That's right, yeah. Right, that's
That's
right.
the biggest difference.
That's right.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah,
Right?
right. Yeah.
I do want to talk about your influences a little bit, but first, because I know this is always a question, and so let's just get it out of the way so people aren't wondering till the very end of the show. Where did the name come from?
All right. Well, he doesn't know, but he still doesn't know.
That's awesome.
My name is Melissa Morris, and during college, my nickname used to be Memo for Melissa, M-E, and M-O.
Okay.
But then it sort of evolved into Melmo.
Gotcha.
So, and
Okay.
then we were trying to think of cool names that would go along with Melmo, and I was going through a whole bunch of M names, and I just was rattling things off, and then I went, Middlemen, and I was like, because they're all middle-aged men. This works
that's
great.
perfect.
Thank you for the compliment.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they're wonderful. They're talented musicians, so, and I'm just blessed to have them. But yeah, it just kind of was something that just came to us.
Yeah. Do you get asked that at every show you
Yes.
play?
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about making that part of your introduction to your act?
Well, no, it's better. We got to have them come and talk to us about something.
Keep the mystery so
That's
people
right.
want to dig.
You got to have some mystery.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about your influences, because Larry, you mentioned earlier that you're mostly blues influenced.
Well,
So how does that fit with, you know, all the different influences you have, and then your lead singer's a theater person?
it fit perfect. I remember going to college at the University of Montana, early 70s, playing regularly in a blues band, but all I listened to was country rock that was happening at the time.
Okay.
And we also played some of that stuff, you know. But so for me, blues has been what I originally really learned and what I really enjoyed playing. But I guess you could say the country rock thing also. The blues kind of informs my country playing.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's always there.
Yeah.
You know, well, I'm not Eric Clapton, am I?
Right.
But, you know, if you've ever heard him jam with J.J. Cale or someone, you know, he fits in fine, doesn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was. I knew I had played with Larry in church about 2 years before all this happened.
okay.
And they had done it 1 week. They had done like a country thing, so I hauled my steel down there.
Yeah.
And while I was getting set up, and Larry was set up next to me, and so we were just talking. And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm into like country rock and stuff like that." So while I'm setting up, I start hearing back in the back of my ear, he's playing New Riders of the Purple Sage riffs back there, you know, Henry, and I'm just going, all right, so now I know who to call,
Right.
if the time ever comes, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it's with this style of music, you know, it's country patterns, but you've got to have a guitar player who can kick it in the butt.
Right.
You know, I mean, Waddy Wachtel, you know, Danny Korchmar. You've got to have one of that guy.
Yeah.
And he's that guy. This is the most underrated guitar player in the state.
I mean,
There's absolutely no doubt about it.
So good. It's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And it just worked out that and he and Cole and Bill had played together in a blues band. And that three-piece blues configuration, I mean, there's an art to making that sound like
Yeah.
a lot of people, like
Yeah.
a big sound, and they know it. And so that's why when we sat down and played the first time, I mean, it just sounded just Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And we do a lot. We do some blues.
We do some
stuff.
blues, yeah. That's, we actually do.
We actually wrote a blues song
That's
together.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And like a lot of my influences are like Linda Ronstadt and Bonnie Raitt.
Right.
And that kind of sound. Yeah.
Which works well on top of.
Well, when we were putting the set list together, I mean, we were pulling songs from that Commander Cody and Linda Ronstadt and stuff. And so we would play them, and her friends would come listen to it. Where are you getting all these songs?
Right.
You know, it's like they'd never heard them. And they're like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
And I just noticed that, like, recently, a lot of those kind of songs are coming back.
Yeah.
And I was like, we did it first.
Right.
That's right. We were there first.
Right. Yeah. The singer-songwriter.
That's right.
Type stuff. Yeah.
We jumped on that format that even at its wildest, zenith, highest form of popularity was remarkably unpopular.
Right.
Sold poorly, awash in red ink. Just
Actually, that part of that's the appeal of this band to me and a lot of people that talk to me when I play, is that we really are doing something a little different than bands are doing locally. You hear a lot of the blues scene is happening. It's saturated really in Denver.
Right.
Yeah, I've been part of that, and there's a lot of good country music. But John had a real specific idea of what he wanted to do, and I think it's broadened a little bit since then. But that's kind of unique
Yeah.
for us.
The next thing I wanted to ask you, and actually ties into some other things that are happening in my mind now, is what is the difference between country rock and rock?
We'll start with John.
Yeah.
well, country. When you talk to me about country means, 3 chords and the truth.
Okay.
Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, Johnny Cash.
And a bottle of liquor.
That's right. That's country.
Okay.
Let's dispense with what you're hearing on the radio now. That's bad '80s rock.
Right.
But the rock part of it goes back to, even Buck Owens you could call him
Sure.
early country rock. I know a lot of people who were involved in it at the very beginning say the first real country rock album was Bob Dylan's Nashville Skyline. That's what Buddy Cage would say. Buddy was actually played on one of the very first real country rock records with Ian and Sylvia called Great Speckled Bird. And there was Sweetheart of the Rodeo, which came out right about the same time.
Okay.
But it involved getting that rock backbeat involved on top of that country sound. So it's basically country song. Because country and rock and roll are kind of, they're pretty close cousins.
Yeah, they really are.
And you put them together, and they fit. They marry up real nice.
Do you feel like the storytelling is part of that, or is it mostly sound?
Well, for me, I connect mostly with the storytelling,
Okay.
and that's what I try to bring every single time
Right.
I'm singing. I really love to just deliver the song and pay attention to the lyrics, and
Right.
so and the stuff that we choose that has an awesome story usually.
Yeah, lyrically, I think. Yeah, there's that. I mean, we don't have we don't have any songs. They're just, oh baby, baby, baby,
Right.
baby.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, lyrical content's important.
Yeah.
Cool. Because of the country rock, the blues, these things fitting together, do you feel like you're creating something new, or do you have a tendency, depending on the track, do you lean more this genre, depending on what song you're singing, or?
Well, I think what kind of makes it new is the pedal steel, actually. Not that there aren't steel players out there playing straight blues, like, what's his name, Robert Randolph?
Yeah.
Or so forth, but when we play blues, we are playing the blues, and but the steel adds a new dimension to it, And when we're playing country, well, steel fits in obviously very good there. I just play a blend of rock and blues and country. That's my style.
Gotcha.
It is definitely a mix of sounds that you can't really classify until you hear us.
Yeah.
It's definitely a different sound.
Yeah, we're definitely getting our own sound on a lot of it. I mean, if you listen to, we're working on this CD, and I'm listening to a lot of it right now, over and over and over again. And there's definitely it's a sound that goes from song to song to song to song
Okay.
to song.
Yeah.
That's definitely sort of our sound. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Originally, we were talking about the different instruments and your background and stuff, and I thought, this is a really unique blend. None of them really clash with the other. They work really well together, but it's not what you would normally see coming together as one group.
No, it's interesting. It's interesting instrumentation.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to come back and pick on Melissa a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You've done a lot of theater. You played leads in a lot of role in a lot of shows, but this is the first time you fronted a band. What's the difference?
Well, I found I'm in some ways more nervous being a lead singer because it's me. It's,
Right.
I'm not playing a character, which, when you're on stage in front of, hundreds of people and when you're in a show, you're playing a character. It's not just you.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, it made me really nervous, and at first I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
But then I realized how much fun it was and how I could just relax and just really just sing, and these guys supporting me was, it always helps me.
Sure.
But yeah, it actually became a lot of fun, and
Cool.
now I just kind of relax and go up there and just do my thing. And
Well, it's interesting doing theater and being in a band. You have to be who you are.
yeah.
Do you find that frees you up more, or that it makes you think more when you go on stage?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely challenged me, not only as a person and a performer, but and vocally, I've taken different risks,
Right.
Because it is just me out there. It's not a character of
Right.
me. It's me, and so being bold, it really challenged me.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's way different.
Do you ever find yourself vocally confusing yourself between performance and stage?
Well, she brings the best part of being a stage performer, which is big,
Sure. Yeah.
and blends that with her alter self that's part of this band.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's, what makes her so strong, in my opinion,
Thank
and
you.
such a pleasure to play with.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love you. I didn't pay him to say that, I swear.
That stage experience is huge because
Yeah, it really
when we get
is.
in front, one of the things that we've got going for us is if we go in somewhere and we get in front of a neutral audience, I mean, I've been in bands where that was a coin flip as to whether that was
Yeah.
going to go well for
Yeah.
you or not. We win. Because that's her job in theater, is to walk in front of a neutral audience and get them on her side in a hurry.
Right.
And so when we play in front of a neutral crowd, I'm like, well, we got this.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it goes for me, too. I've never felt so confident
Yeah.
with a band, mostly because of the level of musicianship. Most of it has to do with Melissa, I think.
Wow. Look at
Because
that.
See, I know.
I always say, if Melissa has a good night, we're going to have a good night. She always has a good night.
That's good. Do you, because you've known each other for so long, because of your theater background, all of these parts, do you feel like you're really always lifting each other up when you're on stage?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's so important as a band, because
Yeah.
you can have like you were saying with the audience, you can have an audience that's just not responding, or somebody's got a bad night, and so if everybody's always lifting everybody up, that's so conducive to a good show.
Well, I know that on stage we do this often where we'll just look at each other and smile, and and they'll play their own solos. I'm like, did you just hear that?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
And then
that's
of course they do that for me too, and they're like, Melissa Morris, everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're a real tight knit group, and we don't let each other get away with messing up too much.
Right,
too.
sure.
So we're like, what was that?
Yeah.
Which
There's such a
in turn
thing
makes
as
you grow.
Oh,
Professional
absolutely.
messing up.
That's right.
Professional messing
Yeah.
up.
Right.
Like nobody
What?
saw
Nothing
that.
happened.
Right.
We meant to do that.
I just wanted to see what would happen if I did that.
But I really think that for Melissa, if I may say, she found a really perfect group of musicians to make a transition
Right.
to this kind of music. It's different. And we all see ourselves in a support role, supporting what Melissa is a singer in the band.
Okay.
We all kick our own butt when we have to, you know,
Yeah.
kick ass when we have, but excuse me.
But that's really cool that that everybody's perception of what's happening is the same, because that makes things go a lot better as well.
Well,
You're
you've
not
got
having to fight over it.
200 years worth of
That helps.
combined experience
Right.
in the local clubs behind her. You
Yeah.
know, so
That's cool.
I mean,
No one had to be told, now turn down when the vocal comes on. Or,
right? Yeah, we
You know,
Right.
dynamics
I mean,
were never an issue. I mean,
it just fell into place.
yeah.
Which actually brings me to something else that I didn't prep you guys for, so don't freak out. Oh, look, he's already freaking out. I've seen a lot of different setups with bands when they're on stage, and being a sound guy, do you run your own sound or do you rely on the house? And how
No,
does
we
that
have-
how
we-
does that work out when you know what it should sound like and you don't have control over it?
Well, because I am musical theater, I'm very loud. And usually sound guys are terrified of me.
Right.
But we found a wonderful sound guy who has worked with me over like a lot of years, and he knows better. Like, do not turn me down. I will
Right.
pull away because, like, you know,
Sure.
You know, I know how to sing live without a mic, and I also have good mic etiquette,
Right.
as well. And then with as far as these guys, Tony goes out there, balances the levels, and he's wonderful.
Does he kind of travel with you?
Yeah.
And, okay, so that makes a big difference too, doesn't it?
Right.
And where you're
Yes,
not
and
going
as
in
we-
wondering if the sound guy's going to know what he's doing.
Yeah, and as we move up into better venues, which is definitely the plan, we may not have Tony. You know,
Right.
we may have
Right.
others. And, you know, I found that you just let them do their job,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and get up and play.
Have you had any nightmares when it comes to that?
No,
No, I don't
That's
think
cool.
so. I mean,
we've been lucky, maybe.
I was going to say, I don't know that that's normal, but
yeah,
that's really good.
I mean, there's, you know, everybody goes through feedback stuff and,
Yeah.
you know, random things,
Yeah.
but nothing like explosive or anything. Yeah.
That's cool. That makes it more fun too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you can just do your
Just
show.
do your thing
Yeah.
and not worry about it.
Yeah. I want to go back to the recording stuff. You're working on an album.
Right.
You're doing it in your own studio.
Right.
John, you and I talked about the immense benefits of doing it yourself.
Right.
As well as some of the nightmares that come with it.
Right.
So you don't have a date for a release. It's kind of a work in
Work in progress.
But that can be a good thing and a bad thing as well, which John and I have also talked
Yeah.
about. How would you describe your album?
It's kind of, well, all of us had a part in writing
Okay.
or like creating the sound. John had a lot of songs that he wrote way back when that were thrown into the mix, and then Larry had some stuff too that he wanted to throw into. But it's funny, we have kind of different locations in a lot of our songs, so we kind of are trying to design it to like be like a roadmap of our heart, you know, kind of
Okay.
telling, like going on a road trip and like and all the stuff that you go through. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Like we just found that that's kind of
we came up with that while we were just talking about this thing. Is there kind of some kind of, because we didn't start out with some sort of, you know, overall design or plan for where this is going.
Yeah.
It just sort of wound up kind of being that way. We were on Colfax Avenue, and we're having incidents in El Paso, and
Yeah.
you know,
Gotcha.
If there's
Yeah.
a true songwriter in this band, it's obvious. It's definitely John Arnold.
Okay.
that's very nice.
His lyrics are, to me, just incredible. And he can write a song. And
Yeah.
all he needs is a band and a few arrangers, you know, to make it really happen, you know. And I'm working with a real songwriter here.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Finally.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool.
I've had opportunities before, but it's been a long time.
Right.
And he can write a song.
Oh,
He
man,
is
can he?
no doubt. He can tell a story.
Yeah.
I generally write music. I'm a guitar player.
Sure.
I've enlisted Melissa to write lyrics for my stuff.
Oh, okay. That makes it cool.
Yeah, we wrote a blues song.
Yeah, you know, and
a blues song, and we've got and the most adventurous song on the CD is one of Larry's. It started out
Okay.
as an instrumental, and then
That's true.
and then I thought, you know, and this is the curse of being able to do this
Right.
yourself, you know, we can really just get self-indulgent and really run with this.
Yeah.
And
So-
he has been so far.
Oh yeah, it's definitely
awesome.
out of control, and so we put some lyrics to it. So now it's called Incident in El Paso, but you know it's a desert song, and you know there might be aliens.
You know,
You know,
You know?
you never can tell, right?
you never know.
My instrumental version told the story instrumentally, just like my guitar playing.
Sure.
If you ever hear, particularly a very good blues guitar player, they're telling you a story, you know, with their playing. When they're not singing, they're telling you a story.
Right.
That's where I tell my story, you know. But after all, you need some lyrics now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll just be sitting in the back.
Yeah, right. So we came up with this. I'm real excited about that song, and then on top of everything else, it ends with this wicked jam.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, I mean,
Cool.
so it's just
But then obviously we have the title song.
right.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
You've got a track called Sherman's Toothpicks. Why don't you fill people in on how it ties into the concept of the album, but where that comes from and kind of the historical background of it as well.
Excellent.
Well, his song was written by John.
They're pointing at each other.
So, Sherman's Toothpicks, when Sherman marched through, and I got this years ago, this idea. When Sherman marched through Atlanta, they burned everything in sight. The idea was just completely demoralize the population.
Yeah.
So they cut a wide swath, some 20 miles wide, burned everything in sight. I mean, and literally, if you go up in the air with somebody who knows where to show you, you can actually still see the changes to the land
Really?
and the vegetation where that march went. I mean,
Wow.
it's pretty subtle anymore. But if you've got somebody who can show you where to look, it's pretty obvious once you see it. But they burnt the houses back then were all built. Of course, nothing had real foundations. I mean,
Right.
they had foundation timbers that were these giant square timbers that were painted with tar or fireproofed in some way against age and driven into the ground, and then the house was built against those, and those are the only things that didn't burn. And so after the troops left, all that would be left was just this barren-like moonscape
Yeah.
with these landscapes timbers sticking out of the ground, and those were called Sherman's Toothpicks.
Gotcha.
And I just had that picture in my head, and I just thought, man, there's a song there.
Yeah.
And about 8 years later, it finally wrote itself.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just the idea of just the desolation of what happens to you after a relationship breaks up. You know, just the absolute, utter, just, you know,
Yeah.
and that kind of
Life-changing.
kind of tied that together. And
Okay.
Yeah, just like what Sherman did to the mansions
Yeah.
is kind of what they did to your heart.
Right.
You know, where it's like just utter devastation, and it's beautiful. We have a really cool arrangement too, where it starts like with like the drummer boy kind of sound,
Okay.
like, and then. Yeah, and then this pedal steel and all this stuff, and it talks about Sherman's toothpicks, and then it cuts to 100 years later where you just got broken up with, and you feel
okay.
like that is how your soul feels, like
Yeah.
it's burned to the ground, and I barely, like, the bones are all that's left of me.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool.
So here's another unprepped question. When you decided to do an album, did you start with this song?
this was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of them. I think we knew that this would probably be the title cut. It's not based around this.
Gotcha.
We had this, and then we had some other songs, and Larry had some songs, and then pretty soon, as we were listening to them, there just sort of seemed this kind of general sort of drift towards love and loss and redemption.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing that didn't really occur, I don't think, to me anyway. Melissa and I were talking about it one night, and it really just kind of occurred to us then that that's where all these were kind of pointing.
Gotcha.
And then you've got just different places. We
Right.
seem to be about a lot of places, you know.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
So it tied in really well.
Yeah,
that way.
we're in
Denver.
Atlanta, Denver, Colfax, like I
Paso,
said,
yeah.
El Paso,
Yeah.
2-lane roads in Texas. Just
You talk about how all of you write. How do you approach your songwriting? There's a million different ways to do it, but how does this group do it?
Well, he talked a little bit about having just an idea, like a spark of something, with Sherman's Toothpicks, and how he was like, there's a song there. And that's kind of how I felt when I've written, is just like having an idea and like a message that I kind of want to get across, and then just sitting there and just, sometimes it just happens over a bottle of wine.
Right.
You never
right.
really know when
Yeah.
inspiration will strike. But I mean, for me, that's kind of just like, it'll pop out of nowhere, and then I'll just write it down and then put it somewhere else.
But how about you, Larry? Being an instrumentalist,
Yeah.
you have a completely different approach.
I do, and it's basically just about sitting down and playing guitar and finding some nice chords that go together nicely that are appealing to me, and then I enlist extra help.
Gotcha. And that was going to be my next question: is how much collaborative songwriting is there?
There's definitely
a lot.
There's a lot of it.
And you just heard them describe how John came, put the two ideas together in one song for Sherman's Toothpick. That's when it's an art. That's when you're a songwriter.
Gotcha.
I mean,
where you can-
such two seemingly unrelated things, and how masterfully this story is woven together. And that's when I realized I'm really working with a great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great
awesome.
song.
So now, when you and Melissa wrote the song together, how did that work? Did you have an idea for a theme
Well-
for the song, or you just had some cool stuff you were writing, and she ended up with a theme?
I had some lyrics too. It was a
Oh, okay.
slow blues song. I mean,
Okay.
it's nothing new. It's blues and slow 3-chord blues song. And I had some lyrics,
Yeah.
but I wanted. When someone plays blues and sings blues, and I'm not saying this doesn't go for all genres and types of music or any kind of performer, but blues is intensely deep-rooted in feeling and expression. So if Melissa's going to sing my song, I want her to sing words that are meaningful to her.
Right. Yeah,
You know.
Well, and
makes
he had
sense.
a great concept for the song. It was just like, I'm so tired of these blues.
Right.
And
It's a
then I
blues.
started
I'm so tired of these-
and
there
then
you go.
and then I started thinking of stuff that I got tired of, that make
Yeah.
me upset. And so it was definitely collaborative. He definitely set a good foundation, and then
Cool.
I just ran with it.
Yeah. So,
Now, conversely, we have another one that we're working on that Melissa had lyrics and knew how she wanted it to go,
Okay.
but she doesn't play an instrument.
Right. Right.
So we had to sit in the basement, and she has to sit there and sing it to Larry.
Gotcha.
and I love
And
doing
Larry,
that.
Larry has to fish around and find the chords.
Yeah. Yeah, the creative process.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've played that role with other songwriters,
Yeah.
and I love doing that.
That's cool.
He's very good at it. So
How long does that usually take compared to having a bass chord progression?
it actually
Because
didn't
it
take
can be really challenging, but sometimes it just happens.
No, but he's so good that it an hour. We had like a
wow,
rough.
that's awesome.
Good chords.
Yeah.
A good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I
Always subject
had
to
a
change.
melody.
Sure.
I had a melody, so
Yeah.
but I just didn't write it down. I just sang it to him, and he's like, "Wait, this?"
Also hooks. Everyone likes a good hook in a song.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so we look for strong choruses, good transitions and bridges, and good hooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see what we come up with.
Yeah. So you have some things coming up, but before we get to that, what is your goal as a band?
I mean, I just love being in the band with them. I think most of it's like a passion project almost, and it's family, and I just love to be able to share our music with other people and have them like come and enjoy themselves, and forget about what they were, the
Right.
work that
Nice
they had early
escape.
in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have fun with us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think ultimately we'd like to matter along the Front Range.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
we're not going to saddle it. We're not like Ryan Chris. We're going to go out on the road 170
That
dates
guy
a year.
is
He's
his
a
touring
strong
schedule's
worker,
insane.
man.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
Right.
I think we were having lunch. We discussed that the only place this band is going in a van together at the same time is the early bird special up at the cafeteria.
I guess I'm driving.
Melissa has to come cut up our food.
A road trip for us is going down to Parker.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we play in park. So, yeah. I mean, we're still.
But the thing is, you never know what's going to happen in
Yeah.
the
Well,
future.
sure.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But you definitely would like to be known and have an impact on the real local scene.
Yeah, on
and
the
be
front,
involved
yeah,
with the community.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and enough that maybe it would help Melissa with
Sure.
acting resume too. That
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
can't
always
hurt.
good to add stuff to your resume.
Yeah. Lead singer of band.
Right.
Nailed it.
Right. Boom.
Yeah.
So what's next? You've got a CD coming out.
CD.
We talked a little bit about you're getting into some bigger gigs.
Yeah, we're getting to some better rooms. That's a good. We're going to be at Nissy's
Yeah.
this summer.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of feeling like we're in a position to be. We're a really great opening act.
Okay.
I mean, right now we're good with any audience except really for hip hop. We can open for
Sure.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's giving us more time to work on our
Right.
album.
Yeah.
Sure,
And,
yeah.
and so, but that's kind of where I'm kind of going now is trying to find maybe some more opening act opportunities. And actually, the whole thing at Nissy's was we were hoping to open for Ryan there.
Oh, yeah.
And then they couldn't
gave
get
us
anything
their own
together with
night.
Ryan. And he said, well, why don't you guys just take a Sunday night? Oh,
Oh, that's
okay.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll do it.
That works.
Twist my arm.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because that's a little bit of a departure for them down there because we're not
Right.
generally their flavor.
But we will be there for
We will
There
be.
you
That's
go.
right. There you go. We will be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We have to bring people over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Do you have a kind of a cult following? Do you have people that follow you
I mean, we
during
do
your
have
shows?
some people that tend to follow us. But,
Yeah. It's
I mean,
we're at that awkward age where on any given night we could put 70 people in the room.
Right.
but then,
On the other hand, it might only be 20.
yeah.
Because you just if it has and I'm not sure I
And we're in
understand.
Colorado. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
weather dictates
So
a lot
many
of things.
Weather dictates what
So,
goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's everybody's kids have to be healthy. Nobody can have youth football in the morning. I mean,
Right.
just a lot of
Yeah.
stuff has to go right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, as we get out of the Longmont, the northern metro area, and more into Denver and more around other venues, it's
It helps.
but it's a challenge to find a venue for this band.
Sure.
And not because we can't entertain a crowd. They have to hear us first.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what every band expects.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. It's part of the game.
We're still building ourselves up, but we're welcome to any fans.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can get some folks that see this who didn't know you were around to
Yeah.
buy into it. 'Cause obviously, you're still writing, so I haven't been able to listen to all of these masterpieces yet. But we'll have you back, and we'll
Right. We'll come back for
we'll
the CD
definitely
release
go into
show.
that more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
this
you
was
so
fun.
much.
Great story.
Yay.
been a blast.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
this has been a
And we'll
blast.
definitely have you back. We'll pick on the other two guys some more.
That's right.
And get them caught up.
Yeah.
Right.
Folks, stick around. We're going to have their contact information up. And make sure that you like, you share, you comment. If you've got questions for these guys, comment on it. We'll get it to them and get you in touch with them. Make sure you subscribe. So important to support local music. And these are the folks right here. This is local music. So make sure you check them out. I'm Michael Hartsock, and thanks for watching Futurartist Records Presents.
In 1864, with no end in sight to war, Sherman burned his way through Dixie to the sea. And all there was before wasn't standing anymore. He left toothpicks where the mansions used to be.